Welcome to another Your Partnerships Meet, and I am privileged to be on the set today with Edward Chapman. How are you doing today, Edward?
I'm exceptionally
I
well.
knew
Yeah,
that was the
yeah,
answer. It's
yeah,
exactly why I teed it up. Every time I
yeah.
talk to Edward, he's an exceptional man, so he's always exceptionally well. And you've been out to the studio before, different room than last time,
I
but
went
yeah,
in the podcast room last
yeah,
time.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So what would you say to anyone that's not been out to Corker Media yet?
Oh, it's an amazing place. You've got
Yeah.
all the facilities, everything's set up, and there's great hospitality as well.
Hospitality,
Yeah,
they'll give you something to drink and
something to
all
drink,
good.
something to eat,
Yeah, all
biscuits.
good,
Yeah,
all
all
good,
good.
all good. Right. So Edward Chapman, known as he's the world renowned owner and of trail running man,
Yeah.
and also our networking king of the network. But that's not what we're here to talk about today, is it?
No, but just on the trail running man thing, I've been running for years and years and years, and I've
You'll
done.
catch that bus one day, mate. I
Yeah,
guarantee you.
yeah, and I've done lots of ultra marathons and all that
Mm,
sort of stuff. And I thought I knew it all, and then someone sent me a book to review. I get sent quite a few things to
yeah.
review and gear to review and stuff like that, and it was about running in China,
Okay.
and it was just fascinating because it had events I'd never even heard of,
Wow.
and she was talking about on a weekend she'd go 500 miles to do a race, but it was easy because they got really fast trains,
Yeah.
and there was even one race where um, you ran through caves.
Okay.
And I thought, do you know what? I'd love to go and do that. So there is still stuff in my
Still
world
stuff
that
to do.
I haven't touched on. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, I don't want to talk about that. I'd much rather talk about some of the volunteering stuff I
Sure.
do and about networking
Yes.
because not everyone's into running multi-day races through deserts.
Not a huge percentage of the
No,
world, no.
no. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But so with your with your volunteering, you do so much. So yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I volunteer a lot with a charity called Go Beyond,
Hmm.
which provides respite breaks for disadvantaged children. That
That's
could be
right.
children that have been abused, it could be children that have been bereaved, they could be living in poverty, they could have a sibling that's got a disability so they don't get much attention. Anything that makes their life difficult,
Yes.
they come away for a week's break in the countryside, either in Cornwall or in Derby, and we just do stuff.
Yep.
And there's no electronics, and we go rock climbing, we go to the beach, we go flying kites, and I just enjoy it because I get to do all that stuff.
You're the biggest kid though. That's
I'm the
why.
biggest kid.
Yep.
Um, but what I enjoy most is just sitting down at meal times and just chatting with the children.
Yep.
And sometimes for those children, it's the first time someone said anything positive to them. So, maybe when they've just tried the climbing wall when they've been scared and someone says, well done.
Yep. And I've heard you say stories. Some of these children, it's the first time they've ever had a break or been to the beach or all sorts of things.
There's children from Cornwall that have never been to the beach.
Crazy, isn't it?
Some children, maybe from London or some other inner cities, never seen a cow,
Right.
never tasted a blackberry. And a lot of them never flown a kite. So, I mean, we go down to Par Beach, we fly kites,
Right.
and it's just amazing to see how simple things. But when I first did it, I thought, well, are we giving them a glimpse of heaven and they go back to their hell?
Okay.
But it does give them the skills, the confidence, the belief to cope with their difficult circumstances. And I have met some children who've been on breaks really early in the charity's history, and I've heard from them as adults what a big difference it makes. So yeah, I fundraise for them. I do crazy running things for them. I give up my time. I've unfortunately because I work on I drive children to school, so I can only go in school holidays. But this year I've managed to book up 6 breaks,
Yeah.
three in Cornwall and three in Derbyshire because I sort
Yeah.
of have to split myself evenly.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah. But and I love it. So if people want to take a look at the website, Go Beyond, whether they can donate money, whether they've got the time to go on a break, you have to be there from about 11 o'clock on a Monday
Yep.
to about 12 o'clock on a Friday. So it's residential.
It's resident and for businesses watching this, there is a way to actually do like team building with them as well,
Yeah.
so they can help raise funds for them. Plus, it's great for your business as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for example, one company decided they'll build a big sort of cover thing for the fire pit,
Mm,
so they could have campfires even when it
that's
was
right.
raining.
Yep.
And so their staff came, they did all the carpentry, they did all the
Yep.
groundwork and stuff, and it was a really good team building thing
Absolutely,
for the
absolutely,
company.
and then that's in all that great, the company giving back all their ESR and everything as well. So
But it also benefits the company in that when you do different things, you get different skills.
absolutely,
If you always do the same thing, you don't get
yep.
difference. So I've learned an awful lot from volunteering with the children. It's enriched my life and improved my skills.
On a personal note, I saw Mick Ryan the other day. So
Oh, brilliant! Yeah, yeah.
he did ask for you.
Mick was the guy that got me involved in
Yeah,
the first place. I
absolutely.
didn't want to get involved. The
Yep.
thought of being locked up with a bunch of children for a week just filled me with
Yeah,
dread.
but no,
But yeah,
you've shown out there, and you've done all sorts of volunteering for years and years, and your networking. You've always been you're the dry king of networking. I think we figured out you've probably about 30 plus dry networking events and two wet, and that's about it.
I was really lucky last year. Every single one of my networking events, the weather was dry when the
Right.
event was on, and I do two a month.
Yep.
Um, and I love networking because when you're outside, you have different conversations with people. When you're inside, no matter where you are, it's like being in the office. You're in four
Yep.
walls. You have the same conversations you normally have. When you're outside, the scenery is always changing. And I like to set people a little pose where I get them to think about their business
Mm,
and find a metaphor in nature to describe their business.
absolutely.
And that process of trying to convert one thought into another helps them see their business differently. And there was one guy at the end, he had a total epiphany and he decided, actually, I need to totally change what I do.
There you go, and it is proven, as you know, scientifically and everything that by being in nature, the what it does for you anyway, and by talking because you're talking more side by side,
Yeah.
walking, just like when you're sitting in a car, it's different than like us doing right here. That psychologically, you just approach things differently than you do sitting
Yeah.
at a
If you're not having eye contact,
yep,
it's much easier to have a more difficult conversation.
yep,
And I've had some really interesting, quite deep conversations
mm,
with people because you tend to fall into sort of breakout groups of either a few people or just two people. And if you're at the back, you can have a private conversation.
yep. Absolutely. No, and then people naturally just swap every now and then as
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
which is really
yeah.
cool.
And of course, you have cake at the end at the cafe.
Well, there you go. And congratulations on surviving your cake-free February. I did notice you picked the shortest month of the year to go cake-free.
There was a reason for that, and it wasn't because it was the shortest month. I was trying to think of an alliterative title.
Ah,
So cake-free February worked. I couldn't work anything for March.
okay.
And the only other thing I came up with was no cake November, but that was too far away.
Yeah.
And
Plus,
if people
plus
know,
it was 2 extra days. You don't.
yeah, if people know me, that they know I love cake.
Yep.
So
Yep.
to give up cake for a month
Hey,
to raise
28
money,
days is enough, mate. I mean,
yeah,
it
yeah.
could have been a leap year. Could have been worse.
Yeah. So I raised money for Go Beyond, but the more important thing was getting the message out there.
Yeah.
So the social media posting just
Yeah.
raised the profile, and that's something that anyone can do for a small business or do for a charity.
Yes.
Is just comment on their post, share their post, cost you nothing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
There's a coffee caravan in Hale, the Be Kind vegan coffee caravan.
Mm.
Every single post she does, I share it or comment on it because it's a way of supporting her business.
Yeah. Excellent. Before we run out of time here,
Yep.
Edward the comedian as well. So,
Yeah,
Mr. Stand-up comic.
That came from networking. I think
Yeah.
it's a really good example of how networking works because, you know, I hadn't gone to the network ready to sort of become a comedian.
Yeah, it wasn't your
gone there
first
for,
thought, I'm sure.
it was in Wadebridge. I met Gavin Harris,
Yeah.
and Gavin Harris actually is a social media sort of marketing person. He mentioned he was a stand-up comedian in the evenings. And I said, I always fancied being a comedian when I was a kid, but I always wasn't funny.
Yeah.
And he said, I'll get you a gig, Ed.
Yeah.
I said, no. And I thought, do you know what? Do things outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So I had my first gig in Toast in Falmouth, which actually is where I am tonight.
Okay.
And I loved it. And so that networking connection led to the comedy, but also it's led to something else because one of my fellow comedians, He teaches, I think it's called Qi Gong and Tai Chi.
Okay.
So I went to one of his classes, and they're kind of like a gentle martial art,
Mm.
and it's really improved my agility and my subtleness.
Yep.
So I think, it's not that first connection you make; it's maybe that second, third, fourth, and that's why it's called networking. It's not
Yes.
a direct line; it's a
Well,
web.
I mean, you and I were talking before, so you got into stand up comedy because of contacts and networking. You ended up actually because you listened to Rewind Radio. You ended up using Daisy,
Yeah,
which
Daisy Taylor, who's
yeah,
a hypnotherapist, who I knew,
yep,
I never thought I needed her services.
yep,
I also write, and I had writer's block. And I listened to Rewind Radio, and Daisy had an advert on there saying she could help people who had blockages.
mm,
I thought, do you know what? I'll go and see Daisy.
yep,
So I went to see Daisy and had 3 sessions with her, which are not like you think hypnotherapy is. It's a much nicer, sort of gentler
yes,
thing. And she unblocked my mind. I don't think Daisy likes me calling it the dino rod of the, of the mind. But yeah, I then finished writing my book,
yep.
which is available on Amazon. It's
Nice plug. I like that.
it's called The Confessions of Abigail Drew, but I wrote it under a pseudonym,
Okay.
Bryony Walker.
Well, I'm sure that link will end up on this video,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
we'll make that
which is
happen.
good. Yeah,
But
and
yeah,
that's a good example, isn't it? Because Richard's I met through networking.
yep,
Daisy I met through networking, but I
yep.
didn't make that initial connection until
No,
that advert.
no, it all takes time because networking is it's the whole process of learning should say connecting with different people.
Yeah. Oh,
Uh,
and one last really good example. Craig up in Leeds does net walking.
yes.
I went up to Leeds to go and see the Yorkshire Sculpture Park.
Mm,
So I connected with Craig,
Greg, yep.
went on his net walking. In the evening, he invited me to a Leeds Rhino game,
Yep.
which is the first time I've seen rugby league.
Yep.
And I loved it. And then, just by fate, Cornwall started a rugby
on.
league team. So
That's
now I'm a big supporter of Cornwall Rugby League.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, we aren't doing very well, but
Well, look, they're doing better than they was 7, 8 years ago because they didn't even have a team.
yeah. And if you look at Italy, when Italy first started, they
Yep.
lost every single one of their matches.
Absolutely.
Now they've beaten everyone except England,
Yep. So it will
which
come.
they might turn over.
It will come at some point. It will.
Yeah.
But look, we're running out of time here, Edward. But look, thank you so much for all that you do. I mean, if we were to talk about everything that Edward does, we'd be here for 3 or 4 hours. But unfortunately, it doesn't fit onto the video. But yeah, I mean, literally from the bottom of my heart, thank you for all that you do. And you help so many between the volunteering and just what you do as being a great man every single day. So we could talk for hours about his wonderful daughters and all the things they do and his work around the world. I mean, it'd just be
Yeah.
going on forever and ever. But yeah, but thank you so much. We'll have to have you back again sometime.
I'd love to come back. Thank you, Brock.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and we'll see you again soon.